Judges chapter 8 and verse 4. The book of Judges chapter 8 verse 4. Gideon came to Jordan, passed over, he and the 300 men that were with him, faint, that is, exhausted, yet pursuing. So they pursued the remaining 15,000, we're told later, of Midianites, so many having slain one another, after the event of the earlier verses which we studied previously. So we come to this fourth verse, and these things we remind ourselves are written for our learning. My general title for this evening is Resisting the Flesh. And my first heading will be dictated by the passage, and it is the flesh that is fallen human nature. The flesh is faithless, and we see an illustration of it right here. So Gideon comes to the men of Succoth, that's in Gadite territory, and he appeals to them for help to feed his exhausted 300. He has only 300, no great army. You know what happened to the many who were set aside by the Lord, leaving only 300. So it isn't a large request to feed 300 from a city the size of Succoth. And yet the response he gets is awful from Israelites. Verse 5, he said unto the men of Succoth, Give me, I pray you, loaves of bread unto the people that follow me, for they be faint. It's not a strong enough word for the original, really, which in our day, which indicates that they were exhausted. And I'm pursuing after Zebah and Zalmunna, the principal Midianite rulers and kings. And the princes of Succoth said, Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna now in thine hand? Do you think you've conquered them? You haven't had the victory yet. You haven't won yet. Do you think that the Midianite vast host, all the 120,000 of them had already fallen by the miraculous intervention of God, turning them one against another, and clearly the hand of God was with them. No sense of that at all. These people are so hard and unspiritual, and they deny any help or assistance. They fear reprisals. Are these kings now in your hand? You shouldn't be so hasty. They've got no faith. We don't believe you. We don't believe that there can be a conquest under these circumstances, even though 90% of it had already been accomplished. And Gideon gives them a warning. Verse 7 is often not read as a warning, but just a threat. But we should read it as a warning. Gideon said, Therefore, when the Lord hath delivered Zebah and Zalmunna into mine hand, then I will tear your flesh with the thorns of the wilderness and with briars. The princes, the leaders, the opinion formers of that city would be punished, and in a dreadfully symbolic way. It's a warning. Are they going to shiver and think and perhaps relent and repent? They're warned by Gideon, but no, they're hard and obdurate. They do not believe him. They reject him. So the warning is fruitless, and the warning becomes a threat. It is a prophecy indeed. But the same thing was repeated at Peniel, also in Gadite territory. And he went up thence to Peniel, verse 8, and spake unto them likewise, and they answered him just as the men, the leaders of Succoth, had answered him. And then he warns them in verse 10, another warning. It's an opportunity to relent and repent when I come again in peace a tower there, and they would take refuge in it. High and strong, but it made them proud and faithless, and it would be dismantled, torn down. No doubt they smirked and scorned and derided Gideon and his message. Well, the narrative hurries on in verse 10. Now Zebah and Zalmunna were in Karka, and their hosts with them, the 15,000 residual men, all that were left. Gideon went up, it records in verse 11, I want to hurry tonight, and smote the host. The host was secure, end of verse 11. They were camped down in a heavily protected manner, but it wasn't good enough to withstand Gideon, still working in the power of the Lord. And when Zebah and Zalmunna fled, he pursued after them. Their names are repeatedly mentioned. And he took them and discomfited all the host, so that few were left or willing after that to carry out any fighting. And Gideon, verse 13, it was all accomplished by these 300 exhausted men in a very short space of time, and he returned from battle before the sun was up. And you see his approach to justice. Verse 14, he caught a young man of the men of Succoth and inquired of him. He wanted the names and we would say the addresses of the princes of Succoth. None would be left out of his reprisal, of his judgment. And there were 77 of them. And he came unto the men of Succoth and said, Behold, he spared the lives of Zebah and Zalmunna, just to, no doubt, thrust them into the presence of those elders and princes of Succoth. Here are the men concerning your scornful deriding of me and my 300, he effectively says. And in verse 16, he took the elders of the city, appears to have spared them, named residents, and punished them in some manner. Some people think they were dragged across a bed of thorns and briars, and by whatever means, he taught the men of Succoth. In other words, they had a severe warning about their faithlessness and their refusal to help. But it's quite a narrative. Why is there this so much time and space given by the Word of God to this event? It's been described as almost an incidental narrative. Some people have even questioned it. We should never do that. But why is it given at such length? Because it's for us. It illustrates the ugliness and the horror of Israelites. Let's say translating the events of the typical church into the true church of Christ, the horror of people who have no sympathy or faith or zeal to support the work of God. And you hear of this, you hear of pastors. I was hearing this just recently at School of Theology. 1 or 2 men being called to certain churches, and they said it's very, very difficult to get anyone to do anything. In this church, they're nice people, and they love the Lord, but as for getting anything going, and increasing the Sunday school, and getting the visitation going, or anything like that, constant calls for help fall on deaf ears. And they may be saved, and they may be nice people. What a tragedy, what a shame that there isn't any heart, and there isn't any zeal. And sometimes pastors have to labour long and patiently to get just barely a flicker out of people. I'm not complaining. Yeah, there's so many very willing servants of the Lord, but you hear of this constantly. And I'm sure we have some people in this category who just do not have the heart for the Lord, or for souls, or loyalty or indebtedness to Him, to lift a finger. How tragic. But the severity of the way in which those Israelites in the typical church were dealt with here at least conveys to us that this is serious, and that God is displeased with his people if there isn't a flicker of zeal and feeling and desire and participation. And you may not be dragged across a bed of briars, but dear friends, there may be something you're deprived of by the Lord, not by us on earth. Some blessing, some advance, some assurance, some help, because of indifference. So we're warned by these passages that in the view of God it is very serious not to be indebted to him, not to be his servant, not to do what we can while we can and make our contribution. It's the flesh that was faithless. They didn't believe that even the remnants of the Midianites could be subdued and overcome. They didn't believe, even though they'd been given a miracle to help them with the vast majority of the Midianite army just vanquished. They still didn't believe. That's the flesh. We have a new nature, but the old nature is still there. It's still there, trying to assert itself. If we allow it to do so, I'm going to skip devotions, skip meetings, opt out of this, back out of that, take the easy course, and so on, then eventually we lose faith. We can't believe. But the youth drew not his sword, for he feared, because he was yet a youth. Now there is much discussion about this verse. Why is it recorded? Why are we told this? If we're not careful, it almost looks as though Gideon is unreasonable. We might conjure up in our mind a picture of a boy who's maybe 12 or 13 or 14. Of course, he won't feel he's up to the occasion, suddenly being asked to slay these two gigantic figures of the Midianite oppression. Would he have done such a thing? What would be the point of that? What would be the point of recording it? Well, there are all manner of suggestions, and I think among the best is something like this, but it is speculation. On the other hand, there has to be a reason. It's something like this. Judah was quite an assertive young man. Maybe he was 17, 18. Maybe he was just a bit too assertive, a bit sure himself. Gideon was not a king. He tried to make him a king and he declined. But he was a judge and a mighty military leader under God. And that perhaps puffed the lad up a little bit. Very humbling exercise. But we all need something like that sometimes. We get too confident. Without being 17, we could be 37 or 57. We get too confident, too sure we can do this and we can do that. And the Lord has a way of humbling us. So Jephthah had the sword, and the two men, they were no threat, they were bound. They couldn't strike back. Do it. And he learned he was still a youngster, and there were times when he should hold his tongue and think more carefully Maybe something like that is going on. Then Ziba and Zal nature within us, the tendency to trust human strength, human rule. And so the men of Israel said unto Gideon, rule thou over us, and you can start a whole line of kings. There'll be a famous dynasty. You rule over us. You, and after you your son, and after you your son's son, and so on. Because you're proven, you have delivered us from the hand of Midian. But they're wrong, of course. Gideon had people. And in these days of internet, famous celebrity preachers like famous film stars, a tendency, even among born-again people, to trust the flesh and things that the flesh can do. Well, you have it here. Be our king. The great call for a king. We can trust a king. We had a man like you, Gideon. Then we would feel secure. Ruler they can trust. Gideon gets it absolutely right in verse 23. I will not rule over you. Neither shall my son rule over you. A great temptation that for Gideon. Enormous temptation for anyone to be asked to be king, absolute ruler. No trouble, no difficulty, no rebellion. All the tribes will agree, evidently. You'll be king. And we'll accommodate you in a splendid place. And all the trappings of kingship. And the flesh would say, yes. But Gideon, up to this point, says no. It's not the will. That she would give every man the earrings or the nose rings, possibly. But our translators, and they're probably right, prefer the earrings, but it's in the singular, as many point out, and it could be a nose ring. Anyway, that's irrelevant. For they had golden earrings, because because they were Ishmaelites, Midianites, Arabs, Ishmaelites. And they answered, "We will willingly give them." And they spread a garment, and the weight is given in verse 26. I do not know. Heavily jeweled high priest's breastplate. And the high priest had to wear that when he sought the guidance of God in the holy place, which was in Shiloh, which was in Ephraimite territory. And we suppose that Gideon wasn't terribly welcome in that territory. Though they'd asked him to be ruler, his action had offended the Ephraimites. He calmed them down, but maybe by the directions of Moses were kept only by the high priest in the holy place at that time at Shiloh. So now he's duplicated the ephod and the breastplate. What else did he duplicate? The old writers think he duplicated a priest to go with it and appointed a priest. It doesn't say so, but it might very well follow that he did that. And maybe already had an altar which God had authorized. And to his house. It was already a snare to the people, but it was a snare to him too. In what way was it a snare? A trap, a noose? A trap gets you, gets the animal, say, by the neck, and its grip is tightened as the animal struggles. And the animal then loses all its energy and tears its leg and bleeds and dies. It's a kind of progressive compromise ruined his walk with God and brought him down like a snare, further and further. And you read on that he had many wives, numerous wives, 70 sons. We take a number of wives, and we don't know how many daughters, they're not mentioned. Snares, one thing led to another. If you can bend the Lord's rule in a small thing, you can bend the Lord's rules in a bigger thing, then a bigger thing, then a bigger thing. And the man who refused to be king is now lording it as he wishes. The Lord was very kind to him. He was so with us. We all have to be women. Yes, you can be an aging pastor, but you have to be as careful as when you were a youngster. And so do you. And if you have great success spiritually, and the Lord blesses you, and all your dear children come through for the Lord, and your Sunday school classes are blessed, and Jerubbaal, another name for Gideon, as you know. Why is it used? Why is the record now going to switch to calling him Jerubbaal? Can't be certain of this, but it seems to suggest that we're looking now at the dismal portion of his later life. The son of Joash went and dwelt in his own house. I should think in some splendor now. And he had 70 sons, many wives. And verse 31, he had a mistress in Shechem. She would have been a Canaanite. She also bare him a son, whose name he called Abimelech, which means the name he paraded round him was something like, my father is a king. However, it might not quite mean that. It might refer to heavenly king. My father is the heavenly king, which would be a lot better name than my father is king. It should make the youngster very arrogant, one would think. I'm not sure about that, what is intended. And Gideon, the son of Joash, died in a good old age and was buried and so on. As soon as he was dead, the people turned to idolatry. And Baal is their god. And they remembered not the Lord their God, Neither showed they kindness, verse 35, to the house of Jeroboam, namely Gideon, according to all the goodness which he had showed unto Israel. Dare I get into chapter 9? It is so important to us. Yes, I think a little. The flesh harbours kings. I'll try and do it very quickly. The flesh harbours kings. In your old nature, buried inside you as a Christian, trying to assert itself, you either want or you would like to be a king. Human nature always wants either a king to worship or to be king. Even in church, the old nature can come out. Some people are not truly converted. But rather interesting, I had two pastors talking to me at School of Theology about internet churches in their fellowships. I think I understand what they mean, because we had a touch of this a while ago. An internet church operating within the fellowship. And what they were upset about was there were people, some people who, younger people who were savvy and clued up, and they were using social media, and they'd selected a band of people within their church who would be their private church, their online church, their own church. Of course, they were the pastor. Some king inside us. I can be the king. Actually, slightly more often you hear about this, it's not king but queen. There's a lady who does it. I'm going to be queen, and I'm going to recruit and enroll some people and send them messages every day or every few days, and they'll respond. And they'll either like what I do or they're for it. And I will discipline them, make them feel terrible if they're not walking aright as members of my internet group, my band, my church within a church. Oddly enough, talking to these men, they had the same experience that I had once. The people who do this are not people you would ever appoint officially within the church to be guides, teachers, or mentors of others. They appointed themselves. They had a very high opinion of themselves, and they have more kingship or queenship than any pastor. Pastors work with their elders and their deacons. They're one among a group. Pastors are helpers in your joy. They don't lordly clothe your faith and push you about and tell you what to do. But these unofficial pastors or kings or queens with their little internet circles, they're terribly bossy and authoritative. It's the king inside someone, the queen inside someone, that's found a little stamping ground. You have to be careful about these things, dear friends. The Lord has ordered his people and organised them into sympathetic companies called churches, with proper rules and proper qualifications and appointments, and the church all agreeing to certain people to be their elders or whatever, something properly conducted. But the king inside wants to be special. And I think with this, well, whether we'll get into chapter 9 very quickly, we can do a few verses because it's so interesting and it tells us something about human nature. Chapter 9, verse 1, Abimelech's plotting. Verse 2, he says to the people of Shechem, where he hatches his plot to be king, "Speak, I pray you, in the ears of all the men of Shechem, whether it is better for you either all the sons of Jerubbaal, which are 70 persons, reign over you, or that one reign over you. Remember also that I am your bone and your flesh." Yes, he was born to a Canaanite mother in Shechem. I'm one of you, and make us all great if you support me. Something for them, for the flesh. Were the sons, the 70 sons of Jerubbaal, acting as kings? I don't suppose so for a moment. This is a lie. They weren't ruling it over the people. Like their father, they declined to do that. They weren't businesses. This is just a lie by which he promotes himself. You're going to come under the heel of all Gideon's sons. Rather have me. I'm one of you. Same stock, same place. And so his mother's brethren spake of him in the ears of the community, and the plot was hatched, and money was raised, a sort of token money. And in verse 5, he went unto his father's house at Ophrah, and slew his brethren, the sons of Gideon, being 70 persons upon one stone. That's very suspicious. That sounds as though it was an offering to Baal. He murdered 70 of his brothers and made them a kind of sacrificial offering to Baal. He was perverting everything. But Jotham, the youngest son of Gideon, was left. He'd hidden himself. Well then, they made Abimelech king. Just pause there. Can you believe it? The people of Israel made him king. Would you make king someone who'd murdered his 70 of his brothers? Astonishing. That would be so well known. This is no secret murder. It was some kind of family feast when all the brothers were gathered together. And with his henchmen, his mercenaries, he killed them all. And yet, the population of the country made him king. Oh, we hear some astonishing things. We were hearing not long ago of a great celebrity pastor who had a church in Seattle. And ultimately, the church, kind of huge church, collapsed under him. And it would appear he was guilty of all sorts of terrible things. And what happens? He goes to another part of the USA and starts another church. And people support him. People say he's a great chap. And they overlook all that. And the various comments on the internet, what a terrible thing. And other people come online and say, who are you to judge? Nobody's perfect. Yes, but the things he was charged with, and the mess and the reputation he leaves behind. Then there's another man, very well known in America, very powerful in his presentation, and he committed adultery. His church threw him out, and another church promptly appointed him to an important position. He committed adultery again. A third church appointed him to a good position. Then it was found he'd committed adultery again. And he lay quiet, for he's got a famous grandfather, a great evangelist, now died. And there he is going around the country, establishing himself once again. And certain so-called Christian people and churches giving him preaching engagements. You never know what you get. It's absolutely the same as this. 17 murdered 70 brothers and they make him king. How bad you have to be. That shows the flesh and great spiritual decline and the laws of God set aside. That's how bad things can get. But the flesh harbors kings. And then there's a wonderful fable in chapter 9. Jotham, you know the passage? He goes to a mountain, goes in outside the city of Succoth, and he finds some prominent place, presumably where people gather, a kind of Hyde Park corner of a place, I don't know, where people gather, some celebration there, or gathering, or festival of some sort, and he's able to stand on a rock and give his parable. It's brilliant, his fable. A fable. People remember fables, and what he had to say would be carried back to the people of Succoth and would be all around the land in those days in no time. And here is the fable. Where did he get it from? Did he make it up? I think it came from his father Gideon. be Gideon's philosophy. Maybe he taught the children this fable. And when the children were growing up, and they said, Dad, we understand they wanted you to be king. Why didn't you want to be king? I think he told them this fable. It's marvelous to help their young minds to understand why he didn't want to be king. The trees went forth, it's verse 8, on a time, one day, we would say, to anoint a king over them. And they said unto the olive tree, Reign thou over us. But the olive tree said unto them, Should I leave my fatness, wherewith by me they honour God and man, and go to be promoted over the trees? Perfect. Gideon had no command of the Lord to be king, but he also said, I'm appointed a judge by the Lord. I can serve him and help the nation and help people. Why do I want to be elevated to an unnecessary office to swagger about and lose my instrumentality and my work? You could say this to people in denominations who lead them and so on. If you were called of God to preach the gospel and minister to the people, why give up going and doing that to run a denominational office so that you can be important and organise something which the Bible never sanctioned? They could use, anyway, some people say, well, the olive tree represents Gideon himself. And the next plant that follows, and the one after that, is the fig and the vine, the 3 trees that refuse to be king, kind of represent his sons too, until you come to Abimelech. Why should we surrender? Serving the Lord as we can, in order to be promoted to something which is not fruitful. And then you notice that finally in the fable, the trees ask a bramble, will you be king over us? A bramble representing a useless, unproductive, sparse plant that nevertheless invades everywhere it goes and hurts with its sharp thorns. That's what you've got in Abimelech. He says to them, in effect, you've got a bramble and you'll suffer. And in such and so long a time, you'll be gone. And there'll be tears. And that's exactly how it is. The Lord so works that all trust is lost between the men who at first promoted Abimelech, the men of Succoth, and the king. And he goes to quell them because an upstart arises to usurp him, and he's victorious until some shrewd lady from the parapet at the top of a tower sees him down there and drops a stone on his head, and that's the end of him. And that's Israel's first king. Self-appointed, wrongly appointed, unworthy, and his reign is at an end. But all these things are for our learning, dear friends, and we learn that the flesh is faithless. The flesh loves flesh. So the old nature wants to be king or support a king. The flesh will give ground and suggest compromises to you, and it has to be resisted. And why? Why have a king? Why all the devices of today? All the rock worship, all the strobe lights and the nonsense, and the theatre, and the human devices and the gimmicks, and the celebrities in the church. Why? When we have the Lord. When we have the Lord and the power of the Spirit, who saves souls and hears and answers our prayers, and blesses us far beyond we ever deserve. Why? Listen to the flesh. flesh and show is always to be resisted. And over time, that's quite enough for us this evening.